the right attacks. He was making sure he weakens a Mew VMAX, makes sure that his Gudra gets hit a little bit to make use of the Moisture Star attack. And hey, just like I was saying, stars could align.
The stars could align. We got a couple of stars in this final match. Let's get down to the table and get this thing underway, get this rolling. We see Noah Sawyer there on the left, of course, playing his Lugia V-Star deck. Someone who's pretty accomplished. He's gotten a top 16 at NAIC, one of the biggest and most difficult tournaments of the whole season. He's coming off a top 64 finish just a week ago in Charlotte, top 8 down in Dallas in 2016, and also a top 32 finish as a senior at the World Championships.
What a colored resume here at for Pokemon. And he was so close, top 8 at one point in the regional championship, but now he has the potential to become a champion. I'm sure Noah is excited.
Of course, playing that Lugia V-Star Archeops deck, the best deck in the format. Will it be Lugia's time to make one final stand, proving its worth? I mean, I think everyone knows it's already the best deck, but can it really just truly cement itself?
I mean, if Maxwell Johnson has anything to say, he could be stuck in a sticky situation here. Maxwell is a top 64 last week as well. Pretty good in, this season, top 64 in Orlando and Charlotte, top 128 in Arlington, and he was a finalist in the Minnesota State Championship.
Yeah, back in 2009. So both these guys, longtime players. I know Noah Sawyer's been playing for around that long as well. We see, of course, Max Johnson playing the Hisuian Gudra V-Star deck. And I have to ask Wancho, going into this matchup, who do you favor? Who do you think has the slight edge just based on the decks alone?
I get decks alone. We just have to give it to the best deck in format, right? Lugia V-Star is absolutely powerful. It can hit hard. It can hit fast. 350 HP. He can deal with that with stuff like the amazing rare Eviltal.
Yes.
But Max Johnson's Hisuian Gudra deck is one of those decks that can really put you to a halt, you know, that can say 350 HP plus the stadium. It's a lot to deal with at times, and but yeah, we'll have to see. It's a matter of resources for me if Max can make Noah force a couple of resources.
We'll have to see how it plays out. Something I did want to note based on those accomplishments that we saw earlier on, Max Johnson, multiple-time Day 2 finisher so far, just this season, just this year in 2023, but has not broken into the top 8 ever before. This is his moment, potentially, to really show his worth. I mean, he's been a Day 2 finisher. He's had some strong spots in these tournaments, but has finally broken into top 8. And imagine your first time being in top 8, you make it all the way to the finals.
He must be over the moon, I'm sure. And I know I'd be a nervous wreck. I mean, this is the finals. This is where all the work the past couple of days, it's been over 20 hours probably of Pokemon if you add it all together. Yeah. And I can't even imagine the countless hours of play testing this format, and this is the last time you get to play it. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be big.
Gonna be big. A true send-off for the Sword and Shield block. Of course, not every card from Sword and Shield is gonna be leaving the standard format, just those first few sets, but I mean, it's not too often that we have a format where at the end of it all, it's just a block format, right? We have every single card from the Sword and Shield era of the game legal for this event, something that might not ever happen again.
That is true. That is very interesting to think of. And as we are going to start here, and a very notable prize here for Noah's side is the amazing rare Eviltal in the upper left, so we might not be able to see it. That is the one clean way of really dealing with Hisuian Gudra.
Yeah, that is not a good prize for Noah Sawyer to have, and like you mentioned, up at the top, so not likely that we're going to see that have an impact this game. Maxwell, over on his side, Max did prize that Radiant Greninja. Super important card for all of these Lost Zone engine decks, just giving you a little bit of extra dig. Just 2 more cards off the top can make such a big difference. Discarding the energy is a small price to pay.
Exactly. Not only that, the Temple of Sinnoh prized as well. That is a very key card in this matchup. I mean, you want to make full use of each and every one of those as we begin right now.
Here we go, our final match underway. Noah Sawyer versus Max Johnson. And Noah's going to kick things off with that Evolution Incense, an item card allowing him to search his deck for an Evolution Pokemon. Archeops being grabbed right away. Probably signals to me we've got a way to discard this. See if there's a quick ball or ultra ball to follow this up.
Is this it? Is Lugia gonna have the perfect showing with the double ultra ball Archeops discard on the? If there was a time to do that, it's right here, right now in the finals. But I don't see his hand just yet.
Lumineon V in the start for Noah is not the best because you can't utilize its Luminous sign, but it's really not the worst either, as you can use Aqua Return to immediately return it to the deck on turn 2, and it's going to be able to knock out anything your opponent wants to send up for the most part on their turn. Ultra Ball now discarding an Archeops, and I do think I see a quick ball in the hand, Wancho. We are going to see 2 Archeops in the discard pile. What a start here for Noah Sawyer.
Not too bad. And again, I just want to talk about it real quick. The Luminion V in the active actually is not the worst in the world because it does protect you from something like an early Cramorant hit. That damage is not going to stick. Aqua, it can take a 110 and just go back into the deck, essentially negating the damage from a Cramorant and, making your deck a little bit more consistent as well.
Tough discard choice there for Noah Sawyer. Did choose off this Ultra Ball to get rid of an Escape Rope. That is a card that could allow him to reset the Rolling Iron from the Hisuian Gudra V-Star at some point. Feels like it's what he needed to do, though. Did grab another Archeops with this quick ball immediately playing to discard that. And it will be Lugia V hitting the bench.
That was a very, very big discard there. Again, not that many Lugia lists play ways to retreat, especially Escape Rope. And it's a one-up, right? But an Escape Rope is the way to really reset the Rolling Iron and make sure you can potentially get the one-hit KO with the Lugia V-Star, especially since we don't have access to Amazing Rare Eviltal.
Just a pass from Noah Sawyer after attaching that double turbo energy. Now, Max Johnson kicks his turn off about as good as you could hope to with one of these Lost Zone decks. Colress's Experiment, an absolutely key card. And immediately grabbing that Battle VIP pass. This is an excellent start. Honestly, for both of these players, we are in for a true treat in this matchup, Wancho.
Not too bad. Again, I've been saying it all tournament long. If you're starting Battle VIP pass, you're having a good time. And if you're in the finals, you're having an absolute great time. I just want to talk about real quick, there's a double turbo energy on that Luminion. That might cause problems. If, again, I was talking about a play with Cramorant, but now because there is the double turbo energy, you don't get to knock if you get hit by Cramorant.
Yeah, definitely a key thing to note, reducing the damage of Lumineon by 20 now. Maxwell Johnson playing that Battle VIP pass. Gonna get that news. Radiant Greninja, unfortunately, in the prizes. But we can start to see some Comfeys chained together here. Start to see some Flower Selecting start to get set up. And also Hisuian Gudra V being brought to the front of the deck.
Exactly. Okay. Let's see what the decisions are. I think you're right. Comfey plus the Hisuian Gudra make the most sense, especially without the Radiant Greninja. And we see here Maxwell just really going through their deck, realizing what resources they have to work with, because again, that's very, very important to take note of for sure, as we do see Comfey and the Gudra hit the bench.
Yep, those are the two choices. Maxwell now shuffling the deck. We'll see a couple of Flower Selectings incoming. We'll have to see potentially if there is any switch cards or anything like that to accompany this, maybe chain a few of these together. Could we see that turn 1 Cramorant attack? And with that double turbo energy attached, I feel like it would be worth Max going for it potentially, as that would set up the Lumineon. It wouldn't be able to Aqua Return for a KO unless Noah played something like a Boss's Orders. And if there's damage remaining on the Lumineon on the bench, that's an open prize for a Greninja later on.
Ooh, we do see this is the first Flower Selecting here of the final. And of course, in true Flower Selecting fashion, very tough decision. We do see Hisuian Gudra V-Star hit the Lost Zone there. I love the grab of the Escape Rope, because if you want to hit something with Cramorant, I'd love to hit the Lugia V-Star, because we're going to have to two-shot that anyway. Might as well start with Spit innocently and maybe finish it off later down the line with the Rolling Iron.
And a key card to grab there for Max Johnson is that big Parasol, a card that actually a lot of Gudra players have decided to cut from their list. They just kind of say, when it comes to the Lugia matchup, I'm not going to worry about the big Parasol. They usually have lost that vacuum anyway, so might as well just not worry about it. Dedicate that spot to some more consistency and see if I can maybe find a Boss's Orders on an Archeops to eliminate that Eviltal threat. Max did choose to keep that big Parasol in his list, and that is something that could absolutely pay off big in the finals. We do obviously know Noah has prized Amazing Rare Eviltal, but even still, just getting that big Parasol down, Max is going to be pretty pumped about.
Exactly. Just the peace of mind that this, it can't get knocked out by Amazing Rare Evoltal. That makes it worth it in itself. And again, at the same time, you know, when you have the big Parasol and the Temple of Sinnoh, they'd have to have 2 Lost Vacuums just to deal with your Gudra.
Just noticed a pretty interesting card from Max, something we don't really see too often in Gudra. It's a couple copies of Ultra Ball. Usually these Gudra lists don't have a way to find their Hisuian Gudra V-Star. They just rely on Colress's Experiment, Radiant Greninja, Comfey, a chain of a bunch of cards in order to get them into whatever card they may want.
Exactly.
See Max finds another Battle VIP pass off of this Flower Selecting, sending that Air Balloon to the Lost Zone. Now searching the deck for 2 more basic Pokemon.
There's 5 cards now in the Lost Zone. Again, there's not too many milestones you need to hit as Hisuian Gudra, but again, it's 4 and 7, and you're pretty close there to 7 as we see a second Hisuian Gudra hit the field. And I just have to say, I love the addition of the Ultra Ball. If there was a Ball Search to play in this deck, I don't think Quick Ball is the answer, because Battle VIP Pass pretty much sets you up, and Ultra Ball is just that flexible card, right? It can find you a basic if you need to, but yeah, finding those V-Stars is the name of the game.
Oh, and we're actually going to see the Choice Belt on the Cramorant hitting for a little bit of extra damage. Pretty interesting to see the Choice Belt come down right now. Normally we see players hold off on that attachment until Stoutland comes into play. It's usually your best way to respond to a double dip Fangs taking 2 prizes, but Maxwell wants to cash in on this Lugia damage while he can.
Yeah, putting in the pressure by putting the Choice Belt on the Cramorant. You're doing 140 damage. Even if that Lugia goes into a V-Star, you can knock it out. That means no matter what, seems like this Lugia isn't going to last a couple of turns, but we'll have to see here as Arita is now being played.
Yeah, and Noah did have a couple of options here, was hanging on to a couple different supporters. Looks like Serena, Marnie being other choices. Wanted to just play Irida, though, to guarantee the Evolution Instance, guarantee that Lugia V-Star, and I think this makes a lot of sense. You've already got the 2 Archeops down in the discard pile. Let's just guarantee we can get that turn 2 V-Star power and start taking some KOs.
Exactly. I mean, if you can't get your Archeopses into the field, you're probably not winning this game. But there we go. We do see 2 Archeops now. Perfect combination, just Lugia V-Star and Archeops. We're going to see a Quick Ball as well. I want to see what attackers Noah decides to go with. He could go with something like Amazing Rare Raikou, potentially to take 2 prizes, even the Stoutland, but it might be just setting up a second Lugia V-Star.
It's the Pokemon in your deck that can hit for the most damage, right? So if you can set up a 2-2 Lugia V-Star at some point in the game, it can be pretty decent, and especially if you work in maybe the Escape Rope at some point. Of course, we know Noah did discard the Escape Rope already this game, but something, of course, worth considering.
Exactly. We see the first Primal Turbo now of the finals, getting 2 Capture Energies onto the active. Are we going to attack with the active Lugia here is the question.
And I think at this point, it almost feels like you have to, unless you want to attack with an Archeops, and that does not feel worth it at this point in the game. You might be accepting that you lose this Lugia V-Star next turn and have to try to pop off and find something in the future.
Yes. Again, but it's not 100% confirmed yet that this Lugia is going to go down. Yes, Maxwell still has to find some combination of cards to be able to take this knockout. Again, he still needs 2 more cards in the Lost Zone, a Mirage Gate, an Energy, a Way to Switch, and the V-Star. It sounds like a lot, but if any deck can do it, it is Lost Zone.
Without a doubt, Noah Sawyer accelerating 3 Capture Energy and the V-Guard off a pair of Primal Turbo abilities. This Pokemon is ready to Tempest Dive away. No stadiums to discard, but a Cramorant to KO, and it is more than enough damage to deal with this rude little bird who loves to spit on every Pokemon in the format.
Exactly. As the Cramorant does go down, Comfey now in the active. I want to see what's in the hand. Again, we do see the Ultra Ball.
Looks like a Colress.
Okay, that should put you more than enough. You should be at 7 plus the Flower Selecting.
Yeah, and I think Maxwell here just looking for a Mirage Gate as the main piece of the puzzle. Missing still, and does not find it here off Colress's Experiment. Not guaranteed to see this piece, but has Flower Selecting to try to make it happen. We are at that 7 threshold now, Wancho.
Yes, that Colress Experiment hurt a little bit, though, losing a Colress Experiment and a Boss's Orders. 2 key supporters for sure. But here we go, Flower Selecting.
Switch is decent, and there is the Mirage Gate, though. Switch is decent, but not better than Mirage Gate. Send that to the Lost Zone right away. Something that could be awkward, though. Max does have quite a bit of energy in hand. Hopefully there's still enough here in the deck. There's 1 metal. Is there a water?
Again, it's 4-4.
Nice.
It's more than likely there is a couple of energies. I love that, again, it's a big, heavy count of energies there. And there we go. We do see them attached to the Gudra. And again, love to see the Golden Ultra Ball as well there to find the V-Star. And they did have a switch option, right?
Yeah. Well,
I think
actually,
I saw a
no.
scoop up net.
Oh, yes, scoop up net.
Okay.
Yep, you're right. It is still there. Discarding 1 water energy now. Deciding what else to discard. And this is a great time for Maxwell to play down both Temple of Sinnoh and Big Parasol cards that he has currently in his hand.
Exactly. Again, force Noah into that situation of just having it, right? Double Lost Vacuum that they don't even play. They only play 1 Lost Vacuum.
Yep.
So it has to be Lost Vacuum and the Pumpkaboo, plus the Amazing Rare Eviltal, which we know he doesn't have access to.
Yeah, but Maxwell doesn't know that. Maxwell's playing to his perfect outs here, trying to do everything that he absolutely can. Scoop up net now, picking up this Comfey. Going to send up this Hisuian Gudra V-Star, and thanks to that chip damage from Cramorant, the Temple of Sinnoh coming into play as well. Rolling Iron will take this KO. Max has got everything he needs in this spot, and he's jumping ahead here in the prize race. 2 prizes down to Noah's only 1 taken so far.
Exactly. I think this is the exact situation Maxwell wants to be in as Noah promotes the Luminion potentially as a pivot or even just to get it out of the way. If you don't have a nice attack into the Gudra, if I don't have the answer just yet, might as well get a liability out of the field.
So that seems like what Noah's going to want to do this turn. Did draw into the Lost Vacuum, but obviously there's no Eviltal. It's in the prizes. No way to put a basic Pokemon in play. I think that's what Noah would have really wanted to see here. If you're going to Lumineon, get it out of play, you want to go into something maybe like Dunsparce or Manaphy, something that's not like super strong in this matchup. Maybe even a Rangaroo you wouldn't mind giving up, but that's not even an option.
Exactly. They'd be forced to go into something like their Lugia that they did set up, because I don't think it's you can't afford to lose your Archeops there. It looks like they're opting to just retreat just to hit with the Lugia. Maybe force the Moisture Star. I think it's going to be
a Read the Wind here, potentially.
Oh.
There's a chance that's what we see. I mean, with this Big Parasol attached to the active Gudra, this Lugia V won't go down this turn. So we'll have to see. Is it the Arrow Dive discarding the Stadium card, or do we just indeed see that Read the Wind?
I don't mind the Arrow Dive here. Again, you get rid of the Stadium.
Right.
And you do some damage, not big damage to the Gudra because of the Stadium, plus it's not really that big of an attack. But again, getting rid of the Stadium seems pretty big to me, but looks like
I think it's Read the Wind.
it might be Read the Wind there. And yeah, not something you want to do mid-game, right?
No, the mid-game Read the Wind, definitely less than ideal. Maxwell with a couple of Mirage Gate in hand, going to check the discard pile, see exactly how many energy are available. I think did draw a couple of energy in addition to the Mirage Gate potentially.
I believe
does make things a little awkward.
100%. But again, they still have the Gudra in the active all set up. They can take their time to really work on the Gudra on the bench. I don't foresee the Gudra in the active, and that's a great way to power up a Gudra with the Melanie able to attach from the discard pile and net yourself 3 more cards. Why not? Now all you need is probably a Metal Energy. Honestly, you can power this up manually. You don't even have to go the fancy Mirage Gate route.
Yeah, we don't need it powered up all the way this turn. Max could dig a little bit. There's a switch plus Scoop of Net in hand, but I don't know that there's anything that he really wants. So we're just going to see that Rolling Iron hit once again into the Lugia. And now Noah with some more options. Does have Ultra Ball, so we can see Lugia V-Star come into play. Hit with that Arrow Dive, do a bunch of damage, or excuse me, Tempest Dive on that V-Star Pokemon. Would knock that Temple of Sinnoh out.
But that damage is not going to stay.
Yeah, at this point, Max has not used that Moisture Star V-Star power just yet.
I love Max's position here. Not only is he in a great defensive position, but he's also in a great offensive position. He's 2 attacks away from technically taking this game and being that much closer to becoming champion.
And Noah seems to agree, doesn't have a path realistically to get back into this one. Maxwell set up just a little bit too nicely and gets the win here in Game 1 of the finals.
Exactly. Stars definitely aligned there. And Hisuian Gudra, I love the board and I love the situation Max found himself. And there it is. He is going to be that much closer to becoming regional champion here. But Noah playing the Lugia V-Star, it's still quite a hurdle.
Yeah, and that was kind of a tough game for Noah. Prized the Amazing Rare Eviltal. Didn't really get to make good use of Stoutland. Those are all key things for this matchup, and I think Noah's going to try to make those things happen in this game number 2. Really, that Stoutland, I think, is one of his key cards to go for, because Max does not have a great way to respond to it. There's no Galarian Zigzagoon in this list to easily KO it, 200 plus the 10 damage ping, and it forces Max to find that one of choice belt. Now, we saw earlier on, Goodra was able to make some crazy things happen with those one of cards. Could it happen again here in the finals?
Exactly. I mean, it's a slew of different attackers, right? Yeah. The Stoutland, the Evil Tal, even the amazing rare Raikou is just something I'd love to see, especially if Max is a little bit on the back foot and only is really depending on the flower selectings off the Comfey. Getting those out of the board and taking 2 prizes, that's a pretty good position to be in.
Absolutely. We see these opening hands now being drawn for both of our players. 7 cards apiece, looking for basic Pokemon. Looks like a Comfey start for Max.
Not too bad.
A Raikou, but
Noah's
hand did not look good. It was a Raikou and a bunch of energy cards. I think Radiant Charizard in there. Looking at these prize cards, a couple supporters for Max, not great. That Escape Rope for Noah could be annoying, and that Kyorangaroo.
Exactly. Escape Rope in the middle of the prizes, though. I mean, I feel like that's, if an Escape Rope were to be prized, that's where I'd like for it to be, since you expect to take a couple of knockouts on Comfey, on Cramorant before the Hisuian Goodra, but again, we have to get there. We do see an Ultra Ball, so...
I think it's double Ultra Ball as well. Double Ultra Ball and a Quick Ball, so there is a path. You know, you see those 2 cards, you can definitely discard double Archeops, but you would leave your hand with absolutely nothing. So Noah not going that route, just starting off with a Quick Ball to grab Lugia V.
Exactly. Maybe play a little bit more conservatively. We did see the Luminion V in the prizes, but luckily, you know, Lugia lists do play 2 of them now, so that is not a problem.
Not a problem at all. Noah also playing that Tech Snorlax, Thumping Snore. I don't know that it's something that'll really come up in this game, but it's a 1-prize Pokemon that can hit really, really hard. Not something I think he'll expect to utilize here in this matchup, but something to note.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, hitting into a Comfey with the Snorlax, and maybe you're no threat of getting knocked out by a Cramorant. It forces the Hisuian Goodra to the active. But then again, I mean, if you're Max, you do want Hisuian Goodra in the active. So I'd like maybe not. We don't need the Snorlax. Oh, that's a target for Luminion to hide behind, for sure.
Sure, yeah.
After Aqua Return.
Run into it. Yeah, that is absolutely something that could make a lot of sense. So I think with this angle here, what Noah's going for is just going to be the pass, see what he top decks, and maybe hope to work with something else there.
Exactly. I don't think we have to spend the Ultra Ball just yet, again, because we need it for the Luminion anyway.
Super awkward hand.
For sure. But looks like we are going to spend the Ultra Ball. Yep, there we go. And we just have to find the Luminion here, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be Luminion. It almost makes me wonder if it would have been worth just holding off for a turn. I don't think there's anything Max could have played that really prevents you from using Luminion on your turn. There's no Path to the Peak or anything like that. It is a card that Goodra decks have played before, so
yeah,
maybe Noah's playing extra careful here, making sure that he doesn't get stuck with a totally unplayable hand. So pretty heads-up play. You know, it's a closed deck list tournament. You don't know what your opponent has in their list, so play around every possible iteration of ways that you could lose.
Exactly, and if you're all set anyway in deciding what you need to discard, like Radiant Charizard, maybe not the best attacker in this scenario, and another Ultra Ball, why not? You know, maybe getting it a little bit early, not the worst thing in the world for sure.
Maxwell starts the turn off with Battle VIP Pass. Definitely really nice. Going to take a moment to check the prize cards. Does have access to Radiant Greninja this game. And we see how key it is, as it is one of the Pokemon he has brought to the front of the deck immediately.
Yeah, it's even on top of the second Comfey. That's how important Radiant Greninja is. It's even more important than maybe getting Hisuian Goodra set up. But nope, there we go. Hisuian Goodra and the Radiant Greninja now hitting the board there. And let's see what else Maxwell Johnson can bring to the table.
And I think Maxwell actually does have a Capture Energy in the hand, if I saw correctly, so that's a way to bring one more Pokemon down, but maybe wanting to use that Radiant Greninja first.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, getting the Capture Energy on the Hisuian Goodra, that serves 2 purposes. That's a 2-in-1. I wouldn't mind that at all. Maybe let's flower selecting. Maybe we could get a different energy, but we'll have to see. Would love to see a turn 1 Colress experiment. Oh, he does have the Water Energy, so that is the perfect card to discard there.
Finding another capture and a scoop up net. We have not seen flower selecting come out yet, and I do not see a Colress just yet. There's another Battle VIP Pass at the cost of a Mirage Gate, though, and Max is only playing 3 copies of that card.
Yeah, exactly. But again, we've seen Max just been able to set up Hisuian Goodra even without the Mirage Gate, again, with the since he does have Melanie in his deck, he's only going to need one, realistically. So I don't mind this play at all, but it definitely is a very hefty price to pay for that Battle VIP pass.
Battle VIP pass now brings down another Comfey. We know that Noah's got that Raikou in the active spot, so it makes things a little awkward. Putting double Comfey down does open yourself up to just giving up 2 free prizes on turn number 2. Max, I do believe, has a scoop-up net in hand, though, so we'll be able to pick this active one up that has already used Flower Selecting, and we'll see a new one sent to the active spot. Sure enough, here we go. Pick up that Comfey. New one coming to the active. Flower Selecting chained together right away. Another Battle VIP pass, and there is the Colress. I think that's an easy decision.
For sure, for sure. And there we go. With that Colress experiment, that opens up, again, that will bring you to the first hurdle, 4 cards into the Lost Zone. And something I like that Maxwell did here is he didn't immediately bench the second Comfey, because there is a world, again, that you don't bench it.
Yep. Totally agree. Super heads-up decision there from Max. Now 5 cards off the top from Colress's experiment. 3 of these will be added to the hand, one of them being Ultra Ball. Looks like a scoop-up net was the other choice. Just debating here between Boss, Switch, and the Ordinary Rod, and it looks like Ordinary Rod and the Switch will hit the Lost Zone.
Again, Ordinary Rod hitting the Lost Zone, typically something you don't like to see in Lost Box, but Goodra, again, they play more than enough resources that they can afford to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And that other Ordinary Rod is already waiting in the hand. Scoop Up Net picks up this next Comfey, sending this other Galarian Gallery version to the active spot. Looking now at 2 cards. There's another Mirage Gate and the Temple of Sinnoh. Those are 2 pretty good cards. And I think, after you've sent one Mirage Gate to the Lost Zone, it makes a lot of sense to keep this second one.
Definitely. We do see this another Comfey being benched here. Do we have another way to switch? Or
I don't think Max has attached yet. So Capture Energy can bring down something like the Cramorant, and we could see a knockout on the Raikou this turn.
That would be big.
That takes it out of play, takes a prize on turn number 1. I mean, the damage lines up pretty perfectly here. Spit instantly, 110. Raikou having 110 HP. This is really nice.
Exactly. Wait. Which one of this decks is the more aggressive deck again?
Not the Goodra, but here we go. Turn 1. I mean, Max has absolutely popped off both of these games, finishing turn 1 with 5 cards in the Lost Zone, and in this instance, finishing turn 1 by taking a prize card. You'd think we're watching Lost Box here.
Exactly. And here we go. We do see the Luminion in the active now. But, and again, the Amazing Rare Eviltal now being benched because we had to commit to the Professor's research.
And it was a pretty awkward top deck as well, being that Stoutland V, something Noah needs in this matchup, so he's forced to bench it, maybe a little preemptively. Big draw here, needs to discard 2 Archeops and get a Lugia V-Star.
I think he can only get 1. There's only 1 Ultra Ball in hand that I can see, and that's the only way to search for.
Yeah,
that's all I see there. So this might be one of those scenarios where you're playing not the full capacity of Lugia V-Star.
Yeah, it's got to be a lone Archeops game. I wonder if Noah actually even waits a turn here, because if he gets Archeops down and, sure, he could use that Summoning Star V-Star power to bring V1 back now. He can't take a knockout this turn. He can't get 2 energy cards out that lead to him getting a prize card. Hitting this Cramorant for 100 damage does not feel very strong. Does he just wait for a turn?
I agree. This might be just a time to wait. Again, even if you do get your Archeopses, you don't accomplish anything. But yeah, I have to agree. But it does leave the 1 Lugia V. I'd at least evolve the Lugia V to the Lugia V-Star just to prevent the threat of the Goodra potentially knocking out the Lugia V if the choice spell, if the stars align once again.
Yeah, it would have to be a crazy sequence of cards for Max to get there, but I mean, we've seen crazier things on this stream, Moncho, and Max has a pretty sizable hand as it stands.
Exactly. And there we go. We do see the Lugia V-Star, but just a pass back to Maxwell.
Yeah, and I think this makes a lot of sense. It's not worth going for the single Archeops when you're not even getting a prize card out of it. Now Max with a ton of cards in hand. There's a Mirage Gate. There is a Colress experiment. We're guaranteed getting to 7 cards this turn. If Max wants it is the question. I wonder if something like Boss's Orders could even be a better play, and he's bringing it to the front. That Amazing Rare Eviltal also only having 110 HP. Yeah.
This Cram has been putting in the work. This is a Cram deck. Excuse me, Goodra. You're not the star here.
Move over, Goodra. We're spitting innocently over here.
And again, by taking out this Amazing Rare Eviltal, that's the main threat that you're seeing Goodras. If I was Max, I'd be very, very happy in this position.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not even pressured at this point to find that big Parasol. You can save that Goodra's tool card spot for a choice belt to maybe respond to that Stoutland that is waiting on Noah's bench.
Yeah, there we go. We see the spit instantly taking that knockout. Big decision here. Do you commit the Stoutland and potentially take 2 prizes? No, it's going to be into the Luminion.
Oh, and it's tough. 1 card short. Evolution Incense on the top deck.
But no way to discard cards.
Yep.
This is tough. It's just going to have to be a Marnie and Prey here.
Marnie, and cross your fingers. Hope you get something good. And your opponent kind of bricks a little bit. You got to hope your opponent misses something at some point. I do like this decision here. Evolution Instance grabs Lugia V-Star. You know you're going to play Marnie, and you know you don't want to draw this card.
Exactly. Just thinning out the deck there. And Marnie is going to, again, play 2 roles. It's going to try and refresh your hand, get something better. But again, Max has an absolutely huge hand. He's taking 2 prizes at this point, has used Colress Experiment, has used Flower Selecting. Yeah, let's put that at the bottom of the deck.
Putting these cards on the bottom for both players. Noah Sawyer drawing a decent amount. I don't see another Archeops, though. 5 cards off the top. There's the Aurora Energy. That could have discarded an Archeops, and I don't think Noah can wait any longer. I think he has to respond here. He has to get this Archeops in play.
Yes, he can take this knockout here. If he gets 1 Archeops into play, he can accelerate 2 energies onto the Luminion and still get the attachment for turn for the knockout. But then it puts him in a very awkward situation where, since the Luminion has to go back into the deck with all the energies, if Max can find a way to gust up that Archeops, that leaves you with nothing.
Yeah, not great, not super ideal. Does have that Snorlax in hand, and actually is a pretty decent chance to just run into that for turn. Even has Capture Energy as well to bring some other Pokemon down potentially that he may want to run into that gives up 1 prize, but isn't something that you don't want to take damage later on. Something like that. Manaphy, not super important in this matchup. There are niche scenarios where it can protect from a Radiant Greninja, but I don't think that's going to come up the way this game is playing out so far.
Yeah, exactly. Radiant Greninja does 90 to 2 Pokemon. There's no real juicy target for sure. So, but opts for a second Lugia V instead.
Could signal that Snorlax is what we're going to run into here, but no. It is Aqua Return. Just send up the Lugia V potentially.
Interesting. I mean, Lugia V does survive a hit from Hisuian Gudra.
Maybe it's the V-Star that comes into the active?
That extra survives a hit from Hisuian Gudra V-Star. As we go back here to Max. Again, I didn't quite get to see the hand just yet. It's going to be a very important set of cards for sure. If they can somehow find the Gust, this could be as good as done.
This hand does not seem super strong. I see a couple energy cards, so Radiant Greninja seems like a good start. Mirage Gate's a good hit. And the V-Star, are you kidding me?
That's not too bad. But Mirage Gate not activated yet, though. 5 cards in the lost zone. Well, let me change that. It's 6. Ooh, there's the Gust.
There is the boss, but cannot get to the extra card as of yet. Might need the air balloon in order to get into this next Comfey to get to the 7 cards necessary to play this Mirage Gate.
Yeah, again, the play is spicy. That's a game-winning play in my opinion, getting the Archeops, but we should go with the safer route. Yeah, get the way to switch, get to 7 cards in the lost zone, and just start swinging.
Hisuian Heavy Ball finds no basic Pokemon. These prizes will be shuffled once again. Getting the news here for Max that he did prize Melanie. That would be another way to potentially get this extra energy card into play, but it is not an option, and now it is at the top of these prize cards.
Exactly. He does play 2 Melanie, though, so there is still a way we draw into it.
Next Flower Selecting coming up. This puts you to 7 cards. Let's see if you can find a switching card or some other way to dig. There is Colress. Not too bad, but at the cost of losing a Temple of Sinnoh. Once Radiant Eviltal, or I keep saying Radiant Eviltal, Amazing Rare Eviltal, once that has gone down, Temple of Sinnoh is much less important.
I mean, it's still a pretty important card. I mean, it protects you from Stoutland V with a bunch of powerful energy, but I still prefer the Chorus.
Yeah, I totally agree. Pretty good cards here to hit. See that Melanie, we see a Choice Belt as well.
Ooh.
Pretty good card to have access to.
Something I like is the Escape Rope. Oh, but looks like they decide to send it there to the Lost Zone, because you could bluff here. You could use Escape Rope and then thinking, hey, you know what, my Lugia V or Stoutland should be able to at least take a hit, but you have that Choice Belt.
Max needing just 1 energy to be in the deck here off of this Mirage Gate in order to pull off the attack. The Rolling Iron to get things moving, get this strategy rolling.
Doesn't even matter what energy, because we have the metal in hand already. But you know what? Let's get both.
Yeah, might as well keep that extra energy in hand so that you can concealed cards, discard it next turn, or even get an attachment to your other Hisuian Gudra V.
Exactly. And yeah, definitely Max here in an absolutely amazing position. He does have a switch. He does have a switch, yeah.
Yep. Got that old school Diamond and Pearl era switch with that Lucario and Turtwig on it. Let's bring up this Hisuian Gudra V-Star. Start swinging, start rolling, start putting some damage into play. Dealing 200 to this Lugia V-Star, setting it up nicely for a 2-hit knockout. And even if Noah launches a powerful attack into this Pokemon, Moisture Star is just waiting in the wings.
Exactly. But looking at Noah's hand, actually, he does have a boss's order. So unfortunately, Max could not find another Hisuian Gudra V-Star. So the Hisuian Gudra V on the bench is in a lot of trouble, but I think that's 2 prizes Max can afford to lose.
Yeah, absolutely can afford for those to go down. Noah does immediately just top deck that Lumineon that he shuffled back into the deck last turn. Immediately finds its way back into this hand.
Definitely. A couple of fish there in the hand. Couple of fish for sure.
Something smells fishy over here.
All right, here we go. We're going to see the Primal Turbo probably coming up shortly, and it's just a matter of what are we powering up.
Yeah, so for Noah to get the knockout here on the Hisuian Gudra V on the bench, he has to accelerate a double turbo energy and a powerful energy from the deck in order to still be dealing 220 damage.
Exactly, and a powerful energy on a Lugia is one less powerful energy you can potentially attach to that Stoutland, and we are going to see the Lugia all powered up there. And again, that's all the energy on the board. That should be going away shortly since that Lugia is very heavily beaten up. We're going to see the Luminion V getting played right now. Luminescine finding the Serena, saving the boss's orders in hand. Very interesting.
Yeah, this can make sense. Save the boss so that you have the play to Stoutland, bring up a Comfey later on. Of course, Serena can only gust Pokemon V. It cannot bring up single prize Pokemon like Radiant Greninja or Comfey. This makes a lot of sense for Noah. And I think at some point, if Noah can attack with Stoutland into a Comfey and use Lost Vacuum, remove that Choice Belt from play, Stoutland would be guaranteed to stick around for a turn.
Exactly. I think that is the path to victory, because if you just attack with a Lugia and then attack with a Stoutland, Max is actually at 4 prizes left, and he should be down to 2 here shortly. He needs to find that Lost Vacuum. If he doesn't, I think the game is as good as done.
Flower selecting, seeing 2 cards, looks like Escape Rope and Ordinary Rod being offered up. Escape Rope can go down. I don't think you need too much more switching here as Max. Ordinary Rod could bring you back some key resources, potentially Colress's Experiment. Now seeing the top 5. Looking for what in this position, Wancho?
I think here you just want to safeguard your hand, right? You want to thin out the deck. Give your deck the best possible odds to potentially draw into something like a boss's orders in case Noah finds himself the Lost Vacuum. Because then there's still a Luminion V in the bench there. That's an easy 2 prize as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And also found Roxanne. That is something that could be strong next turn if Boss's Orders is not the option. Hisuian Gudra V-Star coming back to the active. Easy KO on this Lugia. Max Johnson down to just 2 prizes. Things are really winding down here, Wancho. And this is looking dire for Noah Sawyer.
Exactly. This is very, very rare to see Lugia put in this spot, especially by something like Hisuian Gudra, to be out-pressured, to be out-prized, out-knocked out by a Cramorant of all things, as we go into Snorlax.
Snorlax is what we go into, and Noah does top deck the powerful energy. I think he was debating sending up the Stoutland, hoping to top deck an energy. In that situation, he would have been able to boss, but yeah, I guess you don't have the Lost Vacuum, so it doesn't make much sense. Yeah, Noah needs to attack with either a 1-prize Pokemon here or something that does not get KO'd by the Hisuian Gudra V-Star. So Stoutland, not an option just yet. Does have Escape Rope in hand. We also know that Snorlax in the active can Thumping Snore with a boss's orders to take 1 prize, maybe. For now, that attachment will come onto Lugia V, and it looks like Marnie will be the supporter of choice.
Looks like we're just going to hide behind this Snorlax real quick, which is, again, huge Marnie, by the way. If they played anything besides Marnie, I think he definitely would have been in a bad position. And yeah, definitely hiding behind the Snorlax is a very important place. So I had to pause. I had to check if there was boss.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did we see it there in Max's hand?
Unfortunately, no gust options there yet on Max's hand. So Noah's should be able to at least have 1 more turn.
Noah playing Evolution Instance does find that second Lugia V-Star powering up this powerful Pokemon. There is a Quick Ball in the hand. Could fetch any basic Pokemon from the deck. Something like that. Lumineon V could find a future supporter card. Potentially, we know that Escape Rope was just sent to the bottom. Noah, you can see, is really feeling the pressure here and recognizing that he is really running out of options.
Exactly. We do see a quick ball here being played. Looks like they're opting to grab Manaphy or Pumpkaboo. I think Pumpkaboo, if you're just going to keep it in hand, that's probably the more logical choice. But at the same time, yeah, I think that's the most logical choice for sure. They already have the Luminion in hand, yes?
Yeah, with double Temple of Sinnoh in the Lost Zone, it's not super likely their opponent finds another one, but there is, of course, always the chance. Now, Primal Turbo activated, pulling out a couple of powerful colorless energy. Let's see where these go. Is it Lugia or is it Stoutland? By these 2 energy going on to Stoutland, or excuse me, to the Lugia, I mean Stoutland no longer going to be a path, I think, here for Noah Sawyer. He's really got his back against the wall here.
But I can see Noah's line here. I think he's setting up for just a miracle play, right? He needs to draw into boss's orders and the escape rope at the same time. If
draw
he can,
for turn.
Yes. If he can, he does take care of the Hisuian Gudra, and he can breathe a sigh of relief. That's a chorus experiment. That's not a boss's orders.
Yeah, 5 cards from the top now. Max not able to find the boss. Does see it here off these top 5. Was so close, but not quite able to close it out just yet. Definitely wants to keep the boss. Looks like a couple of energy cards as well added to this hand. 14 cards now in the Lost Zone. More than enough for all of these thresholds. And holding on to the game-winning boss for next turn. Just thinning as much as possible. Big Parasol, not useful at this point. Get it out of the hand. Attach an energy card, not useful at this point. Temple of Sinnoh, try to slow your opponent down. This is exactly why Noah grabbed that Pumpkaboo.
Exactly. But at this point, you know what? We're just thinning the hand, making sure after something like a Roxanne, we cancel draw into a Gust. We're going to bench another Compa here. Again, just play everything, put everything down, attach, use it all there.
Has Noah already played Irida this game? Is this the game that he used Irida turn 2 to just guarantee the V-Star? No, that was game 1, right? So I think as if Irida is still in the deck, he's got a few top decks here. It can be either Irida or Escape Rope for him to just use that play. Rope plus boss. He's got the boss in hand. He's got the Pumpkaboo.
Unfortunately, you can't Irida and boss at the same time. So
yeah. So it's got to be the Escape Rope, of course. Yes. Got to be the Escape Rope. Got to be that one card. And I think that might be what Noah has to play to.
Exactly, and it was at the bottom of the deck because of the Marnie, but he did shuffle because of the Primal Turbos. Oh, this is such an important top deck.
Yeah, such a massive spot in this game. Oranguru in the prizes. That's something that could have aided Noah at some point here along the way. And it's not going to be an out for him to see one additional card. It could literally come down to this top deck. Max Johnson sitting with just one single prize remaining. Noah debating, what does he send up?
You have to send up something besides the Lugia V-Star if you want to go with that play.
If you send up Lugia, you can still attach Retreat, something on the bench, right?
Oh, exactly. Okay. Never. So there is still options for sure.
Is it rope? No. No escape rope drawn. Noah can at least launch an attack into this Gudra, but Max has not used his V-Star power. It's going to just be one Moisture Star away.
No, you do.
Yeah, so it's kind of a weird interaction here. The Aurora energy, it has a cost. It's not an effect of the attack. So even though Temple of Sinnoh is in play, you do still have to discard the energy. Primal Turbo now, searching the deck, seeing if there's any option here for Noah.
I think he's just thinning his deck. I think he might be thinking, you know what, maybe I can still survive the turn. Right now, the only thing powered up is the Hisuian Gudra. If I somehow, even if it's not this turn, if I can deal with that Gudra,
yes,
there still might be a chance. But again, we know what's in Max's hand.
Yeah, Max has a lot to work with. That Radiant Greninja can also draw cards. It's really looking tough, and if Max just has Escape Rope even at this point, that is enough to close out the game.
Exactly, and I don't think there's anything else Noah can play here. Does have the Gust. Can try to play to that out at least, limit the amount of cards Max can draw.
Makes sense, and discard this Temple of Sinnoh all at the same time. But all Max needs is boss's orders, and I believe he's got it here, Wancho.
There it is.
Boss's orders brings up Luminion V, and Max Johnson takes Hisuian Gudra to the top.
Max Johnson is our Fort Wayne Regional Champion. Absolutely huge. I would not expect it at all. Hisuian Gudra winning a 1,000+ person tournament.
Winning $5,000 as well. 200 championship points. Congratulations, Max Johnson. What a run. What an event. Of course, congratulations as well to Noah Sawyer. a great run in his own right. Lugia V-Star, the best deck in the format, a great choice for this event, but the cards just did not fall in his favor. Things did not go according to plan. Single Archeops in game number 2 is going to be really difficult to ever come back from.
I definitely did not see this coming, Chip. If you told me the last 2 big tournaments in this format were going to be won by Eternatus, followed by Hisuian Gudra, not Lugia.
Yeah. Yeah, even in Charlotte, we were talking about, could Lugia win back-to-back events?
Exactly.
Turns out no.
But that's A-okay. Again, it has a great showing. We saw a great conversion rates into top 8, into day 2. So I wouldn't blame. Again, Lugia, absolutely amazing deck. But again, the stars just aligned there for Hisuian Gudra.
Yeah, everything came up exactly how it needed to. Was able to hit a favorable matchup in top 8, took down Grant Manley and his Reggie deck. Was able to take Xander Bennett to a game 3 in top 4, and yeah, just really dominated the finals match, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it did everything he needed to do. Drew super well, got 5 cards in the Lost Zone game 1 of both games, and even in game number 2, getting that turn 1 attack with the Cramorant. Oh, incredible.
Yes, turn 1, turn 2, and Cramorant took out Amazing Rare Eviltal and Amazing Rare Raikou. Ooh, that was really, really good. And he went through the gauntlet, right? For this top 8, he went through some of the best decks. He went through Reggie's, Mew, and then Lugia. That was a top 8. That was a fight to do.
Yeah, that's difficult. It's definitely a feat in and of itself. Absolutely. Congratulations to Max. Noah played very well, of course. I do think things did not go the best for him. Maybe could have gone for some different lines in game number 1. Game number 2 was just tough. That opening hand had a lot of energy, a lot of search cards. Just not really much that he could have done.
Exactly, but again, that's nothing on Noah. That's just the nature of Lugia, right? You're playing 20 bricks. You're playing 16 energy. You're gonna draw in a couple.
It's just natural. It's the way things go.
Exactly.
Moving into EUIC here, Juancho. We're gonna get an interview here set up with Max very, very soon. But moving into EUIC, Hisuian Gudra V-Star, one of the decks that doesn't lose too much. Pretty much loses Scoop Up Net. Capture Energy is not the best to lose either, but that's just about it. It keeps most of the other pieces.
Is this something we should be testing, Chip? This is not in my radar at all for post-rotation.
Yeah, I would say it's not on most people's radar. And sometimes it's the deck that's not on your radar that deserves a little bit more respect.
Exactly. If the Fort Wayne Regional Championship has anything to say about that, yeah, you definitely should respect it.
And Gudra, yeah, getting a massive win here as well. Able to take down Lugia V-Star, something that many players consider to be a bad matchup for Gudra. And even talking to some Gudra players, they're like, I can win, but I'm not super pumped to play against it. Yeah. And honestly, some of the Gudra players even feel that way about the Mew matchup.
Exactly, and that's what
he took down in top 4.
Exactly, he was able to fight Grant Manley with the Reggie, which is, I guess, his little break.
He probably fist pumped a little bit when he saw that was his top 8 pairing.
But then looking at the rest of the top 8, I'm sure he was sweating.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're gonna know shortly, right, with the interview. But yeah, definitely a very, very, very hard matchup. Again, it's just a matter of setup for both players. One Archeops, I wouldn't call that setup, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, 1 Archeops less than ideal for sure, but what a game it was. A 2-0 victory as well. I definitely wouldn't have expected a 2-0. I would have expected this game pretty much either way to go to a game 3. I think even though Gudra might be a little unfavored against Lugia, it can win games, right? Yeah. Obviously, as we saw, it just win 1-2 in a row. Yeah. So I would have totally expected this to go to a 3 games no matter what, but I mean, what do you know? We get a 2-0 victory.
If it was a 2-0, I would have expected to the other side.
Yeah, it's Lugia is right doing the 2-0 usually.
Yeah, right. And again, but just I didn't see the cards, unfortunately. Again, I would love to test Hisuian Gudra in the next format. How does it fare against the Regieleki deck, the Miraidon? Can Miraidon hit 350?
Yeah, it probably gets up there. It might get close, maybe not quite that much. But enough about future format, enough about speculation. Let's talk about what has happened. Let's get down to the lounge and speak to our champion.
Welcome into the lounge, everyone. Adam Skarzeg-Watson here, joined by our Fort Wayne Regional Champion, Max Johnson. Pause for applause. How do you feel, my friend?
I feel great. It's surreal to be here. This is my best finish I've ever had, obviously. So it was very exciting. was practicing with some friends, Friday night and kind of just getting destroyed. And so
Were you already set on Gudra during that testing phase?
yeah, absolutely. I've played Gudra to every regional since it's come out. And now it's gotten to the point where at home they do call me the Moisture Star.
Nice, nice. Sticking to a deck that you love, that you truly believe in, is something I personally always look for in a champion. Somebody who can take a deck and make sure it goes the distance. So your testing group helped you test with this list, and were you able to convert any of the other ones to Gudra V-Star?
I played one of my friends, and he said that if I beat him in a best of 3, Gu versus Dura, he'd play Gudra today, but unfortunately I lost the set, so he played Dura.
Oh man, you just set him up for failure. Unbelievable.
I guess so.
But talking about the Minnesota scene, I know that there's a lot of players that actually come from that region, and the community is very tight-knit. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone already knows Piper, who's won 2 regionals this season. So yeah, really great player there. Braden, who was on stream yesterday, he played the Dan on stream.
Oh
He won
yeah.
Milwaukee last year. I know that in the team challenge, the top 8 teams that are left were 6 international teams and 2 from Minnesota. So
Okay.
pretty crazy. Yeah, we definitely have a really good scene out there, and it's really exciting to be a part of it. Everyone is super friendly. Like, it was so great getting back into the game after COVID and everything. I had a really great community to look to.
Nice. And you're, of course, a fantastic ambassador for the Minnesota scene. There's definitely something in the water out there. And this was your first top 8 appearance. You managed to take it all the way. Can you tell me about your experiences at other regionals trying to make that top 8 spot?
For sure, yeah. So my first day 2 was at Arlington, and I top 128'd it. And I was a little disappointed with the results for sure. Like, the list was pretty good, but I had a hard time with some of the stuff. So I just kind of changed a couple cards here and there throughout, and just kind of did a little bit better at the next 2. At Charlotte and Orlando. I switched to, I was playing training courts originally, switched to temples to try to give myself at least somewhat of a better Lugia matchup. It's still pretty tough, but switched to the temples there, which really made a big difference for sure. Huge. It gives you at least that little edge that you might need to push the matchup in your favor.
That's great to hear, because your dedication to the deck, being able to shop it up and make these changes over the course of the season, over the course of the shifts of the metagame, finally pays off here. And I just got to say congratulations once again, because I know this is such a great achievement for you. And is there anyone else individually that you want to shout out specifically while we're still here and the spotlight is on you, my friend?
Yeah, definitely shout out to my girlfriend Sam, who's been super supportive the whole time. And I also want to shout out my friends Tom and Austin, who we've recently started a podcast together, the Zero Lab TCG. So definitely check us out. We're just getting started, and really excited to produce some cool content. And they've been those guys have really helped me get back into Pokemon after taking an extended break between when I played as a kid and until now.
A lot of players also, I think, are going to be getting into the game soon. With the big rotation, the inclusion of Scarlet and Violet, the introduction of a lot of favorite cards and designs potentially from past sets coming back, and your people, your friendly people in the Midwest, and your podcast could certainly help them make that jump into some competitive events. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the future.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have to see if Gudra can work post-rotation, but I'm sure going to try.
All right, the Moisture Star still going to stick with Gudra post-rotation. We'll see if those experiments bear fruit. Congratulations once again, Max Johnson, our Fort Wayne Regional